All right, guys. Well, that's the show. 5 minutes of intro, and we're going to call it right there. Thank you guys for being here today. Just kidding, but there's I love the 5-minute FUD, though. There's a lot of 5-minute FUD. Probably going to have to double the intro. 10 minutes sounds nice. Nice round number. But hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here. We got a special guest today. We have LG DOUCET of the First Mint. He's always making moves. Always got some interesting takes. Level-headed man. Interesting opinions. So what should we introduce him with? I guess we got to give him a Kawhi. I think we gave him a Kawhi the last time he was here with his brother, but it's timeless.
Man, that's got to be one of the greatest moments in Canadian sports, probably, is the Kawhi's own intro to the city of Toronto.
I would argue it's better than the shot. I think the laugh is better than the shot. I can't think of many other, and I feel like we had the same conversation last time with Phil, but I feel like forget like the Joe Carter World Series home run. Forget all those other
Bautista bat flip is a pretty good one. Mainly because most people don't remember. They may remember the bat flip, but they don't realize that inning was an hour long. The 7th inning lasted an hour because even the top half of the inning, when the Rangers were batting, was also like a completely zany thing where like Russell Martin was throwing the ball back to the pitcher, but then hit, like, I forget who was batting, but he hit his bat as he was just standing there, and that counted as like a ball in play. It was such like a messed up game. But
I vaguely actually remember that. And those were the days, insane. I guess, when baseball innings could last an hour. I think now with these timers, they don't. I don't know, though, because I don't watch much.
And the other thing, too, just for some history on that, too, is that the Jays had been down 2-0 in that best-of-5 series against the Rangers. And I think there was a controversial decision to pull Cole Hamels in Game 5 and to put in, like, Sam, whatever his name was, that Bautista hit that home run off of, who was their closer. And also in that bottom half of the inning, before the Bautista home run, I think Elvin Andrus committed like 3 errors, like fielding errors, where they should have had like 4 outs or something like that by that point, but they didn't. So it's like that. If you rewatch the entire inning, it's actually freaking insane. And then it ends with like this icon. And that's why there was the bat flip and why it was so epic, is because the build up to it was insane. Like it was just like a disaster of an inning. That it was pretty fantastic. I didn't think we'd talk baseball, but Toronto with a few funny little iconic moments after being like basically a dead sports town for the better part of a decade during the Chris Bosh Raptors years, or the Roy Halladay Blue Jays years, or the Phil Kessel Maple Leaf years. All pretty awful eras of sports.
Yeah, rest in peace, Roy Halladay, right?
Really sad. Yeah, he died in his plane.
Yeah, that sucked.
Crazy guy.
That was crazy. Anyway, though, LG, nice that you're here. I feel like we got some things we can touch upon over this next hour. A lot of things been going on lately. We had the dynamic moments drop today on all day. You
Yeah.
appropriately are wearing the hat.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what did I guess we can actually start there. I mean, because I think it segues into what this could do for other sports products, namely NBA Top Shot. But um, what do you think about like how this can adjust the way products like Top Shot releases what should be valuable moments like rare moments? Because I think the most obvious takeaway, in my opinion, is now you don't have to create as many rare moments if you're creating
Mhm.
like one solid rare that changes over the season. Which,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
I have mixed feelings on it, and like I don't know. I think it's good in the longer sense of I think what Dapper is doing really good right now is they're trying to evolve what moments are, but a lot of it is a test, right? Like Top Shot with the redemptions last year, kind of similar, although that was more like a pick and choose, like wait to see, will they win or lose this round, and then you can pick their like losing moment if you want and burn it or whatever. But
Right.
that was more short-term fun, but also I was a huge fan of that, of like even just like the Jimmy Butler stuff was like that was awesome, right?
Mhm.
And that added like a level of speculation that I think people really wanted, and still really want with these moments. That I think a lot of people don't want these platforms to be all speculation or gamification, but I think it's clear that we need some kind of element of that if they're going to keep printing so many moments. With this, I don't know. Like I'm still on the fence, and I've been vocal about whether video highlights is something that's going to work long term, right? Because you're basically trying to create a segment that doesn't exist right now, which is the idea of paying for these videos that you can watch on YouTube, right? And it's redundant to say that. But
Mhm.
I think what this is doing then it's like, well, it's taking the idea that it's now a full highlight reel of that player through the season and kind of putting it to the fans, be like, will this matter to you? Does it matter to you that one player will have way more highlights in their moment than another player does because they had a better season, they had more touchdowns, they had twice as many yards? Um, I think it's like you take like I don't know who are two top receivers that are supposed to be good this year, right? Like take like a Amon-Ra St. Brown versus like two guys around the same in a fantasy draft, right? Like St. Brown versus like a who else is CD Lamb or something like that, right? Like two guys kind of roughly in the same range. It's like, well, if CD goes off for twice as many yards as St. Brown at the end, when that highlight is like fully minted and the season's done, will that moment be worth twice as much as the St. Brown one? Will there be like a premium of being relatively star players? Will it be worth more? Will that matter at all? Right. Like that's, I think, where that is like the fun of both for us collectors and for Dapper. It'd be like, well, how much will this change collecting habits based on how much something evolves? So I think it's kind of fun for it to be an experiment. To me, it also kind of alleviates the pain that I think that a lot of moments aren't that notable, right? So it's more like, hey, this player had a fantastic season. You're owning the season, right? So I think that that's really smart. Versus like like you're saying, it alleviates the part where it's like, well, he had a good season, he had 4 incredible touchdown catches, let's make 4 rare moments, is not really something the market desires, right? Or the market can hold up right now. So mashing them all into one moment makes sense on paper, but I think it's really important for them to try this stuff, whether it works really well or it doesn't. They have to do that, and that's kind of like the responsibility of the game makers to push the envelope and do things differently, right? So, what do you think, Tandy? What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a great idea. I think it's interesting. I think it's like you said, I think that is more of a collectible. I think that's a more interesting collectible. I mean, I'm not a big football guy, but if I'm talking about like the Celtics, I want to see the top players. I want to see a recap of their season and evolve as you go. I think that's super
Yeah.
cool. But you're right that it all depends upon collectors wanting this as like a valuable collectible in and of itself. Just intrinsically, I want that thing.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a difficult balance because you can see based on just supply and demand, or mostly demand, that we're just not quite there yet. Like I think we're inching in that direction, and everyone thinks the future is digital and all that.
Yeah.
But it's obviously a pretty tough balance to tip into the other direction from people who understand and really get like physical cards in their hand, but they don't quite get like a serial, a numbered highlight on their phone. So I think that's the way I see it. But I agree with you. Like it's a cool bit of technical advancement that I'm happy to see, some innovation, but it's also very necessary because I think we, like you said, we don't want to see 15 rares because a player has a good season. We want to see one thing that you're holding gain in value. And you know, they've also been doing that in ways with burning and things like that. So if they can combine those ideas and sort of right past wrongs and continue to make cool stuff, then at least we're going in the right direction, not sort of swimming against the tide. But Boston Bay sent a sticker. I can't see what these stickers are. I got to go to YouTube. So let's see what they are.
That's all right. I do have another thing too. I was just seeing one of the comments from Ryan here saying dynamic moments suck. What sticks out in history? Individual sports moments. I couldn't agree more. But the one thing I will say, I think people being critical of the concept for both this and redemptions, any other kind of like dynamic, let's mush all these things together, is like I have two things to say on that. One, both platforms are full of non-notable moments, and that's the nature of the beast, is that it's like, even looking through my Top Shot collection, you know, I had some stuff unlocked this week that, and some rare moments I was planning to sell, but the two things I have are from series 1, and they're the Jaw debut rare and the Zion debut rare, where it's like Zion does that insane block where he like jumps 1,000,000 feet in the air and the ball goes in the second row or second, you know, level. And Ja has that insane dunk on Aaron Baines. And it's like, to me, I'm like, yes, like those, it was kind of like nostalgic for me. I was like, these are the moments that really drew me to the platform, because I was like, fuck, these are amazing. Like these are things I do want to watch these all the time. So, you know, I think what Ryan's trying to say is that it's like, we want those. So why do we want mashups? But at the same time, what's happened is that the platforms by nature have had to mint a lot of non-notable things. Like each player, you know, and even you can see that in the way that they approach each season, where they declare being like, each player will have no more than 4 moments, one common, one blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're already dedicating yourself to that. So even if Ja had the worst season ever where he didn't dunk or anything, they would still find something he did to mint as his legendary. And that, whether you like that or not, that to me is the nature of the beast of this type of segment, let's call it, in terms of what consumers want. So how do you manage that? So I think the only answer I have there, and this is something I've started to come to realize, Tandy, and as you guys know, I've been on, you know, I try and hold a really balanced opinion where, you know, I try and support this stuff as much as I can, but also try not to hold back the stuff that I don't like, which doesn't sit well with everybody sometimes. I think at this point, you know, being the low of the bear market, and hopefully the low of how many users will ever be on these platforms, hopefully it's up only in terms of unique users, I think it's really important to keep an open mind. You know, 3 years ago, not a single person here ever thought that they'd spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on just video highlights, but you did. Everybody did. And you still do, right? Everybody opened the freaking app for the KD pack just now or whatever. I don't know if you guys did, but you still spent whatever amount in your Apple wallet. You're still doing it. So I think it's like, keep an open mind in terms of what the second or third inning or whatever that is of this technology. It's like we know it can go places, but we also know that it's not necessarily going to go places as is in this current format. And what I appreciate that Dapper's done in the last couple of months is like, well, they're still pushing, and Rohim kind of like, you know, giving himself a little pat on the back, victory lap on Twitter these days, saying like, wow, we finally rolled out, one click approval buying of moments, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're still like, they still feel like it's their job to innovate the platform. So what I'm saying is that regardless of what's happened, I think it's just like, keep an open mind. Yes, Mike, you're right. Keep an open mind of how they're going to get you to spend money. But I think keep an open mind in terms of how the market in collectors will react to the chain, how the long term, you know. So it's like, we don't know when the season's done and the Super Bowl's done. We don't know how we're going to feel about a season long Mahomes moment or Bryce Young or whoever else you're actually keen to collect. It might be good, it might be bad. I don't know. It might be mixed opinions, but I think shutting the door on it so quickly when they've clearly put a lot of effort into trying something new, I think is a mistake to write them off so quickly. I'll put it that.
Yeah. And who knows, there might be some kind of innovative way to focus, let's say, give the bulk of the time to like the best clip, and then other things are like, you know, hit you really fast perhaps. So who knows? I mean, I doubt it's going to be like a 10-minute clip, because it's true. People probably won't want to sit through all that. Where do you think, like future opportunities lie? Because you were talking about that we don't have as many active users currently as we'd like to because of this bear market that we find ourselves in. I think one of the challenges when I talk about like physical versus digital, and other people have mentioned this too, is the fact that people have these old opinions about like NBA Top Shot. I think someone was at a card show and they were like, yeah, I met people, I think it was Boston based actually. And he's saying like, I met people and they're like, oh yeah, I haven't checked that Top Shot wallet in forever. I should probably go look at it.
Don't do it.
But yes.
No, don't look. Don't look. I'll tell you. Look.
Yeah. Let sleeping dogs lie. But what do you think is like, where is like, based on that, I don't know, like the environment of how this is, and we have all these past users or past opinions, like where do you think the opportunities lie? Because some people are like, oh, you got to go to the games, the physical, the live games. Like, have you ever thought about this? Like, where do you think a bunch of users would come from? Are they old users that decide to flip their sentiment? Are they people that don't even know about this thing? Have you ever thought about that?
I think about it all the time, man. But like, what do you? I think it's a flawed question. I don't think, like, listen, we're in the digital.
That's the show, everybody.
Like the people that don't know about this that might like it are also people that like probably don't even have a Facebook account. Like, of course, there's people out there that are traditionalists and they're not into new tech products, and maybe they will love this, but there's no guarantee of that they'd love this over the multitude of other applications that the NFL and NBA and other sports leagues have put out and have put their weight behind. There's a lot of other things you can do. And this is, you think about it, this is very specific. Even card collecting, yes, it's massive, but it's not the biggest thing you can do in terms of your fandom. You know what I mean? Like we said this so many times. It's like an average NBA fan. I don't know what their annual spend is on like NBA fandom. Let's say it's $500. You know, $100 on League Pass, maybe a new jersey every year, go to one game or two, and otherwise, you know, the rest is on some frozen chicken fingers for when the friends come over to watch a Super Bowl, right? Like, or not Super Bowl, finals or whatever's going on. Like, that's probably your average fan. When we talk about the NBA has 1 billion fans or 400 million fans, that's your average fan. So this is getting them to spend on digital collectibles, even if the digital collectibles are cool, to me is a bit of, it's a bit of a stretch in this current format and this current like climate, right? Of, you know, financial uncertainty. People love shopping. I just don't know if they love shopping for this, right? In its current format. And I think that there's also like generally a disconnect between what a Top Shot and All Day are right now and this massive potential that we feel this huge weight of like, here's what blockchain could be in the future. Here's what it's going to be. Here's all this, beautiful shit, right? That we told ourselves in the bull market. It's like this is, you look at it, what it is. It's like, we're very far away from that. Like, it's not anywhere near that. Like, and I don't even know what that is that it's trying to go to. So I don't know. I think the idea of like, how can we take what we have now and grow it? How can we take what we have now and market it better? I think that's a really hard thing to do, man. I don't know if that's the right, I don't even know if that's the right question to ask. Like, I don't know what it would take to convince that average NBA fan to come and show up for all these pack drops when they don't do anything like that anyways. Right? Like, you're trying to build a habit that doesn't exist. So, I think that's what's a little challenging about it. But what do you think, Tandy? Like, what do you think? Do you think it makes sense to market it in its current format? Does this need to spend 2 more years developing, finding these new kind of growth levers in terms of like the product? Like, is the product marketable? Because both products, it's like, well, you rolled out Mahomes the 2nd year in a row. Last year they had the cool ad. The previous NBA season, like, here's an ad with KD walking around, be like, oh, what's up, man? And you know, they're trading his moments. Neither of those did anything. So is it because the product is not good enough, or because the marketing sucks? Like, why do you think new people don't want to do it? Or because people don't have any money to spend, because we're in the most uncertain economic time in over 15 years.
I think a big part of the uncertainty, I think that we know that there are people sitting on the sidelines willing to degen into shit. I don't know that that's necessarily your user base that you want.
But have those people degened already? If they were going to degen into it, have they not already? Like it,
Yeah,
like
they probably
where
have.
is there? Do you think that there's like this giant pocket of degen money spender, gambler, card collector people that have a desire for this, but somehow have never encountered this and never been served a Facebook ad or a Google ad about Top Shot or All Day? Or
Well,
can't
I
or
think
any of the other
that goes back to my physical and digital thing, which for for certain reasons, Sean was on the show and he explained how like it's not so easy to just make that happen. But I think that there are a lot of degenerate like physical collectors, and I use that as like a caring term, not
Yeah.
necessarily terrible term, but there's people like that who probably would be more interested if it felt somehow more connected to what they're already collecting. So like
Mm-hmm.
right now, Top Shot feels very different
Mm-hmm.
from what they're already collecting. But if there was some kind of crossover effect, then I do feel like that could be a potential. But as I learned with Sean, there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of difficulties with partnerships and whatever. Um, if we're talking about like the shitcoin degeners, yeah, they are, but they've already degened into Top Shot, and I don't know necessarily that you want them back because they came and they left because of the nature of like speculating and getting in and getting out, and they would only want to get back in if they
Hold
could
on,
try to
but
do
I'm
the
going to
same thing
challenge.
again.
I'm going to challenge that. I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
challenge that because obviously we don't want to have the huge pump and dump environment that we had
Yeah.
almost 3 years ago now. But that even what you're saying now is based on this idea that we think that things like Top Shot and All Day are this premium product, that it's this beautiful new technology. It's basically the spaceship of card collecting that is going to take us to a place that no one understands yet because that's just how great it is.
Mm.
That's an assumption we all make based on I don't know what, based on how fancy the art is, how sophisticated we feel when we're doing this.
No
At
bent
the end of the day,
corners.
the 99% of the people that are still in crypto at this point are degenerate people. Like you go to the shitcoin market, that still trades every day. Pepe coin is still trading. Like there's still tons like a new coin. I was looking at a new coin yesterday that was created called Dork Lord, which is based on a Matt Fury Zogs. Matt Fury, the guy who created Pepe the Frog,
Right.
documentary about him. He put out a collection. You can burn them. And one of them is called Dork Lord, which is like a Pepe that kind of looks like Darth Vader. And it's just an NFT. But immediately people created two different shit coins. And one of them had $25 million of volume yesterday.
Wow.
And that's 10 times what Top Shot does in like a month. You know what I mean? Like that's the point to which the market, the liquidity that we had in Top Shot that created that giant run, that's what that liquidity at the base core is doing, is trading.
Yeah.
So my challenge is, rather than looking at Top Shot, and when I say Top Shot, I mean the whole segment, Top Shot, All Day, Candy, exclude all the fantasy stuff. Forget the fantasy stuff for a second. So that already has a fit. The collecting side. Instead of looking at it as, ooh, it's this, it's the most amazing, it's the caviar, yes, of the NBA. It's so beautiful. What if it is a degenerate thing? What if it's like you've got your layers of moral fandom that's like most moral fandom, like take your family to the game, and then you go down the rungs and it's like, yeah, fantasy grinding away, fantasy DraftKings lineups, like 100 lineups a night. And then what if this stuff fits in below that? It's like, these are shit coins. We're trading shit coins of NBA players. That's what it felt like at first. And that's most fun. That was like, why am I buying Ish Smith for $200? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that maybe that's where it belongs. And I don't mean that to mean Dapper or anybody like that, but it's like, maybe that's actually what makes the most sense, is for these to be looked at as shitcoins, and they're like this comical insano market. Maybe that's what makes the most sense. Like maybe, like, how about this? Would Top Shot do better if it wasn't licensed?
If it was not licensed,
they were not bound to the license and they could just do whatever the fuck they wanted. I'm serious. Would it do better? Would they make better decisions? Would the market be more exciting?
In some ways, there's some reasons why I would say yes, it would be better, because they wouldn't be beholden to any partner. So like there couldn't be a partner to be like, hey, we need $5 million over the next 2 months. They'd be like, no, we're not going to do that.
Hey, you need to mint 10 of every player this season, no matter who they are. If the guy played more than 10 minutes in the season, he needs a moment. Like, God, no, we don't need that. Like there should only be one of certain players, but there's like 20. That's what I'm saying, is that it's just like, I'm not saying like it should just switch to that. What I'm saying is that NFTs, DeFi, sure, there's some sophistication in the technology and some governments want to adopt it, and there's Visa and all this other shit, gaming. but at the core, the people are still here. Maybe the market is for degenerates. Maybe it is supposed to be a degenerate gambling medium, and maybe Top Shot would be more, or the idea of Top Shot would be way more successful in terms of users and volume, if that's what you consider success. If it was unregulated and just like a Wild West thing, maybe that would be better, right? I don't know. I don't think everybody here would enjoy it the same way. But I'm just challenging that it has to be this premium, beautiful thing. Maybe it belongs in the rung below fantasy.
Are physical cards a premium chef's kiss, or are those a degenerate activity?
That's a great question, man. I don't know. It seems pretty degenerate the way that people wait outside Walmarts for the new, Prism collections for the truck to show up and shit like that. Like, and film themselves opening the packs and like crying and shaking and shit like that when they like and then just to hope that there's no little nick in the corner so that it can hopefully grade above a 9. Like that seems pretty degenerate to me, man. Like that's the evolution of lottery tickets or of a Willy Wonka, right? So I don't know. I'm just throwing out the idea that it's like, yes, ooh, yes, it's a caviar.
What I think though? I think that there's segments. Like, so when you think about the physical card, right? There are those super degenerates. There's like the old dudes who just hold their Mickey Mantles in a lockbox. Yeah. There's like the people fishing through the dollar bins. There's the people opening packs with their kids. So I think that like the difference there is they just have the critical mass where they can have segments. But because Top Shot doesn't have the critical mass yet, and probably because its genesis was from a bunch of degenerate shitcoiners, it has just made it way harder to find that critical mass somehow. Right. I think
cards appeal to the average fan? Does the average fan spend more than $10 a year buying cards?
The average fan. That's a good question.
The average fan who buys cards, who goes to CVS or wherever in the US they buy things. Here you buy cards at like freaking London Drugs or freaking, I don't know, Canadian Walmart, whatever we have here. That's where you buy cards. But like, who's buying those right now? What is the card market? Is it like for us when we were kids, we were the card market, right? We wanted to collect them. We had the binders. You got to have them all. You know what I mean? And we didn't really think about selling them other than trading them with your friends. Is that still what the card market is? Right.
Well, it depends how you define it. I mean, I guess the popularity of the biggest draw of the card market is the stuff that you see on Twitter when like the Fanatics guy rigs a pack for the professional soccer player and he pulls like a $5,000 card. Like that's what the card market is, visually at least.
Yeah, I agree. I like the comment you had in the chat here from Grote saying you need to be able to buy physical TS packs right next to jerseys and socks at NBA games. I love that idea. I think you'd still have to change. I think that would still require the nature of what this is to change. And I don't know. I think you'd have to it'd have to be a bit more of a smooth platform and smooth experience than what it is right now. I think you'd have to rethink the way it's done. I don't think you could make that. I don't think people would care enough in its current format. That's like, oh, here you just got a Top Shot moment. It's one of 100 in this set. And just join the Discord. Like, what do you do next? Like, what's the next step? How do you buy more packs, buy a $10 KD pack? Maybe you'll get a rare KD. Like, is that like, it's just, I think even if you were given a moment for free that way, or buy a little pack of moments or something like that at a game, what is the system you're being thrown into? And does that system make sense for the average fan? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, even as a loyalty program, I don't know if it makes sense that it's like collect enough cards and you'll get a soda or something like that. Like, do most fans actually even want to do that? Right.
But if you simplify though, and I keep going back to the physical example, but what if you won a free pack of trading cards because you bought an NBA jersey? Like, are you now thinking about what world am I getting sucked into by opening this pack of cards?
I think you open the pack of cards and then you're like, that's cool. And then you just put them down. It's like this nice little thing. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. I'll give you an example. Actually, recently, I bought a pack of cards at Tim Hortons. Everybody knows Tim Hortons, or Canadian institution, even though it's no longer Canadian owned. But they released like some kind of like hockey Hall of Fame celebration packs or something earlier in the summer. And in there you could pull like a Gretzky or a Sidney Crosby or a Tim Horton who was a hockey player, or some people from the women's teams, and like just a variety of players, like a Haley Wickenheiser's our most successful female player ever. and I was like, oh man, I got to get this, and I was like filmed myself doing the card break, and then I was like, okay. And then I just put them in the drawer and I haven't looked at them since. And I was like, that was cool. I paid $1.99 for those. And that was cool, like on top of getting my sandwich in the drive-through. But it kind of ended there. It didn't make me start collecting Upper Deck. It didn't make me go to their website. I didn't join the Discord. I didn't download the app. There's nothing it made me do. And even if it had asked me to do that, I don't know if I'd be like, oh, I have 3 cards out of a collection of 2 million, like, or 2,000 cards I could have. I'd be like, great. So if I want to compete in this, I guess I'll go back to Tim Hortons and buy another 100 packs. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know what that is supposed to be. Now and the more we ask those questions, the more we're asking questions about the nature of the product, and the more we're just trying to reinvent, to start from scratch on what this is. That's what I'm saying, is that in its current format, we're saying, like, how does this grow? How do we market this better? It's like, I don't know if that's the right question. I don't know if the habits that you build by joining one of these platforms now are the habits that the average fan would want to have. What I will say is, I think that there is currently a really good product for the people that are here. I think these products are in better shape than they ever have been. And I do think that there's something like sticky about it. Like, I do find myself drawn in more and more these days. And especially when the seasons are starting, it's like that it has become part of my process of like, okay, NFL season starting, do my fantasy draft, think about my all day. NBA season starts in 6 weeks. Okay, is there anything I should be doing on Top Shot to think about that? So rare, again, fantasy, different segment, but it's like, it's kind of part of me thinking about it and getting excited about it. So I think that there's something there. In terms of the place that these platforms have. I just don't know what it is. And if I hadn't been here for over 2 years, Tandy, I don't know if I would enter, if that makes sense either.
Yeah, it is. There's more to it than we think, especially for a new person. I can't imagine it's very easy for a new person to just jump right in and understand everything. But I think that's why they're trying to simplify it as much as possible and just be like, collect a card, a digital card of your favorite player. And I think that's what they want the sales pitch to be. Whether or not that has legs or not for the long term, I don't know. But I feel like that's the easiest thing to understand.
Tandy, do you have the mobile app?
Yes.
What do you think? Does that change your experience much? Do you?
I think it's good for like notifications. I can see why it would be cool. Like scrolling your finger around on a moment and seeing it move around, and like, I mean, I can see how that's kind of neat. But I don't use it a whole lot. I mean, when there's a mobile app only pack, of course, then you might use it, or you will use it. But other than that, not a whole lot. But I think it's one of those things that you have to have, though, if you're gonna be a more broadly attractive product, I think. Why do you ask about the mobile app? Do you love it?
I'm just curious. It's something I don't feel like we talked about that much, right? It's like they launched the app for like, and I'm just thinking about, I think an important thing to observe perhaps when you are talking about these products is like, what is Dapper prioritizing? What does Dapper think they're doing when they're deciding, okay, we've got our team. Here's what we're working on this year. Here's our goals for the next 12 months, 18 months. Here's what we need to roll out. People tracking Roham. He's like, finally, there'll be a pack marketplace, maybe within the next month on Top Shop, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, watch what they're prioritizing. The app was a priority for a long, long, long time. Right. It is the most important part of a tech product these days. If you're launching a tech product, you need a mobile app. That is an absolutely killer mobile app. They put a lot of work into that. It looks really good. It feels really good when you're using it. You can just buy, with your in phone credit card, whatever you call that. Then what? Is it doing anything beyond just being a little extension for, the collectors that are already here right now? Is it the place they're sending new people? Is that working? Are new people downloading it and converting that way? Is that the plan? Is this what the NBA during games will say, like, download this app right now and get a free moment, or get a free blah, 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 or what, you know what I mean? Like, what did they launch the app thinking like, we'll have an app and then millions will follow? Or is it, we have an app and that's what we're going to use to enter the market to make it really easy for people? Like, that's what I'm saying, is like the things they work on when we all sit around and wonder, be like, man, what the hell is Dapper thinking? What are they doing right now? How are they going to grow this? I think we have to watch the things. The answer lies in the stuff that they roll out and that they say is a big deal, right? So that's why I'm asking you, like, we all have the app. We all know when there's in-app things. Is the app this massive growth lever? Have you told anybody to download the app?
Well, everyone that I talk to about Top Shot is pretty much on Twitter and has the app already. I'm not like telling my parents to go download the app. I probably would be though if this is 2 years ago. But
would you recommend Top Shot to people?
I don't really talk about Top Shot too much, honestly. With like, I'm basically around my family all day. Like, I don't tell my 6-year-old to download Top Shot, but I don't know, maybe I should. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think that like we're in the early innings, as they like to say, with the app. I think there's a lot more that you should be able to do with the app that I hope we see in the future. I hope there's more, again, like more cross connections to other things. Like we see more traditional advertising, like we saw that today on the NBA app, and also I think on bleacherreport.com NBA, where they had like, traditional ad buys for like the pack drop today, the Kevin Durant thing. But it would be super cool if you could somehow integrate it more. Like I don't know exactly how, but I know one example is when you see things that we've seen in the past where like the NBA Twitter will say, vote on the best moment of the night, sponsored by Michelob. Like, oh, yeah. Come on. Like, yeah, like, things like that. Like if that was more ingrained and like, oh, okay, the best moments of the night or the best, most memorable things of the night, you go to Top Shot for that. Okay, I get it. Like that to me is like the next level of that kind of thinking, where it's like, well, I could own this on a physical card, but who knows when the hell that's coming out and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, I think that's how you connect one step closer to like the culture of NBA and NBA Twitter.
Absolutely. And I think like that's also where I think, from a creative standpoint, I'm like, okay, if you were given the mandate of like, go build a digital NBA collectibles app, right? That we're going to get people to buy collectibles. And we're going to find a way for that to integrate with normal fans. From scratch, you're thinking with the average fan in mind. What would you make?
Well, I think,
and that's what I'm saying. It is that sure, and like the requirements are, you have the NBA license, you have to sell video highlights. Let's make it strict requirements. You have to sell video highlights to people and make it like a fun experience. Would it be a collecting experience? Would it be a watch to earn experience? Would it be like a loyalty platform? What would you go and make? And I'm not saying this as in the Top Shot has done a bad job answering that question. I'm saying this like the contract for Top Shot was signed in like 2018, dude. Like a couple months after CryptoKitties, and the NBA was like, "This is sick. Let's go do this." And they called up Axiom Zen. It was called then. We're like, "Yo, can we make some? Let's make some NFTs of NBA." And they're like, "Okay, sounds good." And then it took them 2 years to develop it, and then it launched mid 2020, and now we're here. It's 3 years ago. That's what I'm saying. Is like products develop with this certain like thing that happens to them, this certain history. But if you had the chance to blow it up and restart, would you make the same thing for today? Right? It's been in development for 5 years, right? So that's what I'm saying, is that it's like, I think that to me, that's what I think of. And with that in mind, if you are the people at Top Shot and you're wondering, and I don't know how they feel or what they think, or if they feel if they're meeting their mandate, or they think if they're being successful right now, or if they're not, or I have no idea how they feel, or what the board of Dapper feels, or anything. I don't know how that works right now, what the sentiment is. What I'm saying is, if they're, Roham's always said, we gotta skate to where the puck is going, using the hockey analogy. Skate to where it's going. So where is it going? Where do you want it to go? If right now they're unsatisfied with how the app hasn't worked, it hasn't brought in new people, the NBA is not being supportive, and you have runway, right? They let go a lot of people to build runway, to cut salaries, so they have more money to keep going for longer. You have runway for 3 years. What are you doing with that? So what are you making in 3 years? Are you just evolving this bit by bit, changing the platform every day, a new initiative, a new app, a new collector leaderboard, whatever? Or are you thinking in 3 years, being like, in 3 years, we need hardcore. We need that game that fucking makes sense, that's super fun, where you use all these things. or in 3 years we need this, or in 3 years we need that. 3 years in tech is all the time you need to make a killer app. Biggest app, all the apps we use were built in way less time than that. Right? So that's just kind of what I'm saying is what, you know, where do they want to go with this?
That's an awesome question, and thank you, Boston Base. I appreciate that. And it's such a hard question to answer, though. Like, and I'm sure they're racking their brains too. But when you ask me, like, what would you build from square one right now if you could? And I think what's unique about what NBA Top Shot and things like it offer is that it's like uniquely and natively digital. Like, it's digital first and foremost. And so where else could you use that as a strength? And that's why, like, my mind first goes to like a loyalty type of deal, like you're talking about. But in that situation, you would have to have agreements with every single different team. And then you'd have to create almost like a fan club. And I think this was the vision of like the team captain programs as well. But the team captain program started from the Top Shot side first. So like, if you could somehow start from the NBA and from the team side first, and they have their, you know, massive lists of people, and, you know, they're trying to sell them merch and sell them tickets. Like, what if they could sell them some kind of a loyalty program? And in being in part of that loyalty program, you were then entered into this ecosystem of Top Shot. And maybe I don't know, you then start collecting your favorite team, and then that gets you into other events and things like that. I don't know, but that's a very difficult question. If I was starting from zero, that's probably where I'd start. And I'd probably get shut down in the first week because every team has like a different requirement. And, you know, I don't know. That's why it's a very
easy
challenging
leagues,
question.
man. It's not easy. You think about it, like a sports league kind of is like a weird DAO, right? Where it's like, it's kind of run by the owners. The owners decide the commissioner, right? And they choose the leader. They re-up the commissioner. You know what I mean? It's like, and they're all these freaky billionaire people who are like all kind of messed up. Like, a billionaire is a fucked up person, right? Like, how could you have like 20 billion, be worth $20 billion and not be kind of messed up? You're not like a normal person.
It's true.
What I'm saying is that it's like, you know, think about the governance, and it's like, and it's all about money. It always will always be about money. And I don't mean that as a top, again, not knocking Top Shot. I'm just saying it just is. These leagues are designed to make money. There's no reason to own a sports team unless it makes you buckets of money, right? So there's no reason to pour money into the salary and to go pay the luxury tax, all that kind of stuff, unless you're going to see a return. So that's how you run a business. So what I'm saying is that it whittles down. It still whittles down to that, right? Is that like all the other pieces of fandom that exist, like, you know, watching TV, AR, VR experiences, jerseys. It's all for revenue. It has to be a business. So inevitably, this has to fit that in some way. It has to make more people watch the NBA. It has to make more people consume NBA things or NFL or whatever, right? So, anyways, I think these are all good questions, and I don't mean to approach this stuff as in like it needs to be blown up and restarted. I just think that it's not a bad time right now in the bear market while everyone's trying to figure out, you know, that same question you're asking of like, well, how do you market this to people? It's like, well, it's not the worst thing to challenge those assumptions either, that it's something that currently can be marketed.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good, well, first of all, let's play a few drops just because I feel like we missed some opportunities. So I thought we definitely deserve Roham, and we also definitely deserve
Tandy, can I ask you? You're a busy guy. You got family. You know, you have a million things to do, right? Why do you keep the show going? What keeps you going to the show?
I can't let down my OnlyTans, LG.
No, but I mean that, like, they'd understand if you would like, and I'm not trying to corner you. I'm just saying, like, they'd understand if you took a couple months off, right? There's not much going on right now. What keeps you going?
I think I'm a creature of habit, perhaps, but also I find that these chats and just interacting with the people here is just fun, and that's pretty much why I do it. What about you? I mean, that's a good question for you, because I was going to ask you, LG, your style of shows changed quite a bit. You used to be more of like a documentarian almost. You'd like take these very deep dives. And then you are also doing sort of like group, almost like Zoom call streams. And now it's like you and your brother just kind of hanging out and just shooting the shit, more or less.
Mhm.
So what about you? How have you changed and why?
That is a different question than what I asked you. That's not at all the same thing that I asked you, Sandy.
So what about you? But you've taken breaks, right? So what are you trying to say, LG? I need to take a break, don't
Um,
I?
no, 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 no. I don't mean that. I mean, like, you know what's interesting? Like, even looking at the chat here, it's like I know every name in here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that it's strange, but it's kind of like a fun thing that it's like the people that are still here in our corner of the NFT space, we're kind of like this weird little high school of people together, right? Where it's like we're not like there's not really like new people coming into our community, but we've all known each other for almost like 3 years, and that's kind of
Yeah.
fun. You know what I mean? Like I think that there's something special there, and I would love to find more ways to galvanize this kind of like peripheral community that we have, right? Of people that are like, I might be losing money. My assets might go down. We love when there's drama. We're always curious to see what these products are going to do in the new year. We have Roham meme videos, like, haha, but we're all still here. And it's like, if you're still here, you're not really like leaving tomorrow. If you decided to stay here, you're here, you're here. This is your home in a way. This is one of your homes. So I think that that's kind of like what's interesting about our current community, and to me there's something there, and this is completely separate from the top shot of the all day or anything, is that like we do have something here that I think is a lot of fun, where I can come on a stream with you in the middle of the day, and we'll see some familiar faces in the chat and kind of have like a fun little hour. I think that that's something kind of cool, and I think that that's what keeps you here for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
you're more eloquent than I am. Thank you, Jump Shoot, for ice cream so good. I guess he wants a little ice cream so good. Let's give it to him. He wants it. Ice cream so good. Thank you, Jump Shoot.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Shoot was hyping up ice cream so good to me prior to this. He's like, you got to get some ice cream so good when you're on the show. Is that all it is? You spinning the ice cream thing? That's the whole
No, well, it's based on the TikTok thing where she like really goes for it. And that's just my version of like a
I've
very
never seen that.
subdued ice cream so good. And
Ice cream
yeah,
so good.
that's how I collect the tips on the show. Ice cream so good.
Nice.
But yeah, no, you make a great point. It is true. We're sort of like a band of brothers in a way, and like we've been through the we've been through the mud on our hands and knees, and we're still here, and we still like crack jokes. And so yeah, there, as long as there's a place to continue to do that, I feel like I want to keep doing that. And I also think that I am always thinking about like, how can I expand upon this? How can I bring new voices? How can I just do things that are a little new and a little different? That's definitely a challenge, though. I haven't quite figured that out,
Mhm.
but I'm always thinking about that randomly. But anyhow, I don't know
That's
what
all
the
I think
answer is.
about. You're asking me about like changing the show and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm more of the I can never do the same thing for too long. Right. Like
yeah,
having the podcast for a long time, that's fun, but it'll never be the same podcast for more than a year. I think it's just like the nature of who I am, is that I'm constantly kind of diving into things and then getting kind of bored with them. And I think what's nice now is that having the open format with Phil, where we just shoot the shit, is that like that can evolve into anything. You know what I
mhm,
mean? Like that, if there's a new, like, let's say NHL Breakaway launches for real next month, and it's like the biggest thing, it's like, well, we can then spend time talking about it, right?
yeah,
We're not too platform agnostic. We're kind of just hanging around, talking some nostalgia, and still touching all the NFT projects here and there, but also kind of creating a space where it's like, well, when some hot stuff comes along that we're really into, we have a platform to talk about it, and to drive people there, which I think is like, it is a lot of fun, especially at a time where it's like, for a while I saw myself a bit more of an educator, that I was like, let's dive deep into this topic. Let's start talk to this really smart person. I think we're at the point in the bear market where it's like we don't really, like, there's nothing new to learn. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yes, you can follow the news, but like Visa is PayPal has their own coin now, blah blah. Like, I don't really care. It's like
yeah,
that. I don't think that there's a need as much for education as there is for like familiarity. Which is where you come in as well. Your show is that you're doing a good job of just keeping something consistent for people. And I think that that's kind of like what First Minutes turned into in terms of the regular podcast. And also time to kind of innovate, which is why we've been doing the Media Pass thing too. Just to try and do something fun and different, that we think is really, really weird and kind of twisted.
yeah. It's cool, and I appreciated the. I think you guys were using Mid Journey with some pretty cool imagery too.
Yeah.
Um, So I definitely appreciate that you guys are always trying to switch it up and try new
Mhm.
things. What else do you think about other sport NFT innovations right now? Like there's the hockey NFT that you just mentioned. There's the UFC predictive NFT purchasing I saw you write about on
Yes,
Twitter.
yeah.
There's of course like the all day stuff. There's Top Shot. Like, what else has your eye? Anything else interesting going on? You want to mention anything about that UFC or the hockey offering?
You know what? Same comment for UFC. I think that again, like they're finding a new way to do predictive stuff, right? And I think that's pretty cool. I did get a Max Holloway moment, like I had bet on him. I guess I'd bought his moment preemptively, and then he won. And I guess I have that moment now of him winning, right? Versus I forget who he was fighting, but that guy doesn't get one. I would love for it to be a little bit more vicious. Like, you could have bought the NFT of either one. Like, you could have bought both. You could have bought 10 of each if you wanted. So I thought that was kind of silly. I was like, it should be one or the other. You know what I mean? Like, you should have to pick. But so I was a little disappointed in that. But again, that might be like some kind of anti-gambling rule or something like that prevents them from doing that. Yeah, I think that those types of little innovations are important. Like, I think innovation in tech and these huge like growth levers that'll make all these people talk about the product and do it. It's like, I think you need to try 100 things before you land on the one that works. Right. I don't think that the growing these products, like I said, is as simple as putting up some Facebook ads and saying, wow, don't you want to collect these? Like, that doesn't work. They've all tried that. It does not work at all. And I do think that you have to try a lot of different, unique, interesting things and eventually hope that one of them works. So that's the kind of stuff I'm most interested in right now. One thing I will say, we haven't talked about, and nobody really talks about, but I think if you pulled back the curtain and asked Top Shot, out of the last 12 months, barring maybe the start of last season, what is the single day where the most people came to the Top Shot site? What would it be, Tandy?
Ooh, pop quiz time. God, I have no idea.
Like, outside of first day of season, which is when it has every league first day of season has the absolute most web traffic, or like the week leading up to the season. Let's say like NFL Google searches are at the year peak right now, right? Like the next week they'll be down and down after that. Higher Super Bowl.
So we got some answers in the chat.
Yes, is the LeBron record. That night, not only did I text more with people I know about LeBron than I did about anything else in the NBA last season, but also I saw the most people active in First Mint Discord, active in Twitter, active in other communities saying like, what's the deal with these LeBron packs? Because Top Shot launched it instantly after he beat the record. And that, and I tweeted about it. I was like, this is where Top Shot can have cultural significance, because the most important thing to you then is you're like, oh man, it's so amazing. We just saw a guy literally set a record that might never be broken. And solidify his legacy by scoring the most points ever. And he's crying or whatever the fuck he did. But we're all immersed. Everybody who's a deep hardcore NBA fan and everybody who's a casual NBA fan, we're all immersed in this incredible moment. That to me is what something like Top Shot is meant for, is to be like, fuck, give me that shit. Put that in my veins immediately. I need it. I need to catch that. And
it's the same idea.
LG were ready.
Yeah, it's the same idea. I guess making the same point, but when your sports team wins the championship and they literally, as soon as they cut to commercial, it's, hey, get your, Boston Red Sox championship gear. Like, they have it queued up and boom, right as they win, boom, it's out there. And you pull out the credit card and you call the number immediately.
Yes. Yeah, you're like, give it to me immediately. And you're like, I'll never forget this moment. So I think that's where that had a lot of again, like, cultural relevancy, which is very important in the NBA and in sports circles. So I think that, I don't know. I think that to me is something that's really notable. And there's no significant records that are going to be broken like that this year. You know what I mean? Like, LeBron will extend his record. I'm sure there's records that you guys are going to say like, oh, this record or this thing or this assist or whatever. I'm sure there's other things that will be broken this year.
Like, well, actually, LG, Chris Paul is going to be number 7 on the all-time.
Yeah, there's a bunch of bullshit like that. Yeah. Actually, anyways, that meme. But what I'm saying is that, like, that to me was the most important thing they did, and the thing that if I was them, I would focus on. And I don't know, again, like, someone breaking the all-time points record maybe never happens again. So you can't recreate that every year. But that's, again, when you had the most people on the site, probably.
Yeah. I mean, you got to almost
But hold on, what I will say,
Yeah,
Tandy, what
go.
I will say is that
Yeah.
despite that being the moment that there were the most people on the Top Shot site by far, probably, I'm assuming that maybe somebody at Top Shot can tell me.
Mm.
That is not the time when that is not the only moment when there was that much attention on the NBA on Twitter and on social media. There were a
Mm.
lot of other moments where people really cared about something that happened or was said or whatever in the NBA. So I've always said that, you know, to be successful, Top Shot needs to tie itself a lot more to the day-to-day culture of the NBA. And I don't know how they can do that with their current mandate, but that to me is like, that's what I want as a collectible, is like, I just want to be able to collect the things that matter to most to me and to what I think is like the broader horizon of people. Things that I couldn't stop thinking about for an hour after they happened. And I don't know how to,
You're right. You're
yeah, I
right.
don't know
It's
how to tie
like,
that together. I don't know if they can, but the LeBron record is definitely not the only thing that people cared about on Twitter in the
mm.
NBA last year.
Do you have any other things that come to mind? Because right now I'm thinking about like, and now I'm kind of expanding it a bit, but what about, I don't know if it's this year that they're going to unveil like a Kobe tribute outside of the Lakers, like what if that somehow was connected to Top Shot and to get that, you know, it's a super cool video clip. I mean, that's Kobe Bryant's rights, of course. That's
I'll
asking
put
a
it this
lot right
way:
now.
like if you want to, if you scrape everything off the board, like you remove everything that we've learned and everything that we've gone through and all that kind of stuff, and the mandate is strictly collect digital memories of the NBA.
Mhm.
What are they every year? And
You know,
and it's something where it's like you want to open your app and you want to stare and be like, nice, man, I'm so happy I have that.
yeah. I mean, I think
What are the
honestly that
10 things from last season? And are they meaningless in-game assists?
yeah. Well,
from
yeah, you don't want those
January?
meaningless in-game assists, right? But every person who loves their NBA team would, I think, would love to have sort of a greatest hits of the season. I think that's cool. I think the top rookie moments. I think the top like playoff moments, or maybe just the finals moments. And other than that, though, like I don't think it's a massive list, though. But and then there's
And it's
probably
not,
other
and it's
like meme events that happen during the season.
exactly some of those best moments. I know that I love them. I don't really remember what they are, but I would love to be able to open my app and look at them and be like,
Sure.
I bought that when it happened, and man, I'm glad I did because that was hilarious, or that was
Yeah.
great, or like, man, you know what? Like, we don't really talk about it, but Steph did have some incredible moments last year. You know what I mean? He did this thing. He broke this record, or I don't know who won MVP last year. Embiid.
Embiid did.
Okay, yeah, we don't need anything for that, but whatever.
He cried until he got
We don't
it.
need well, unless I'd actually really love a moment of him crying after the Raptors beat in the second round. I'd love
Exactly.
that.
You should
I
be able
would
to like
love that. I'd
request.
mint the shit out of that.
Yeah, I don't know if the NBA partners would let you do that one, but yeah, if they didn't have the
Maybe
partnership, you
that's a
could just
fatal
do
flaw.
it.
Maybe that's a flaw. That's what I'm saying. And again, now we're coming all the way back to what I was saying. Would Top Shot be more successful if it didn't have to follow the license?
Yeah, I mean,
They
it's a
can make
great.
that shit. What are the most successful NBA accounts on Twitter? What are the Twitter accounts that get the most impressions every year?
You're right. The ones that have nothing to do with the NBA.
Well, the ones that aren't tethered to that can just say whatever they want and retweet the soundbite or share the rumor or whatever that is, right? Those are the most culturally significant moments. Is not just the big plays and the record breakings, but some of the stuff that ties the narrative of the NBA together. So I think it's really hard for Top Shot to tie to that right now.
But I don't think Ballsack Sports can sell NFTs of the NBA though. Is it Ballsack or butt crack? I
Well,
forget.
I don't know, but I think it's something where it's like it would take the NBA a long time to realize this, Tendy, or to wrap their legal wrapper around it. But it's like that is what media is. You know what I mean? Way more people consume highlights of the NBA on Twitter and on Instagram than there are people that watch the games. Like
Yeah.
that's a fact for sure. Like, you know what I mean? You don't watch every single NBA game of the season, but you
No.
definitely consume highlights from them.
Yeah. That's valid. That's a valid point.
Or
But Jeb,
not highlights, narratives. You don't consume highlights, you consume narratives.
yeah.
Like you're not necessarily going to watch every Warriors game this year, but you definitely want to know if Chris Paul is happy there or not, right? Like you're very interested in that.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that equates into a product exactly, but yeah, for sure. You're right.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, of course it gets sued and whatever, but that's again, I'm just pointing at, in an ideal world, how would you make people get really onto this product?
We're thinking outside the box here, Jeb. Okay,
yeah, exactly. Because if all you think about is like, well, they'll never be able to do this, never be able to do that, then they'll never grow.
Yeah, and I the way that I see that kind of making a connection is kind of what I alluded to, which UFC also kind of did, by the way, which is UFC had those like smack talk
hype
like
moments. Yeah,
those ones exactly.
Yeah, my balls was hot. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, my balls was hot. Like, meanwhile, they're minted to like 5 million, but something like that would make sense. And if you could do it really quickly, and then so when you have these Twitter cultural moments, then the place to like trade them if you wanted to would be on Top Shot.
See, this is what, and sorry, this is where you know that we're having a good conversation because Dumbo appears.
Right.
Dumbo has like a bat phone in his like little basement in Mexico or wherever he lives that is like that it just goes off whenever there's like a spaces or stream where people are being like, why is Dapper doing it this way? It's like his thing goes off and he has to come in and be like, well, you don't understand about Dapper, blah, 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 blah. Like he just comes in.
He just comes in and he's just like, you what? Is that what they say?
That's so good. That's so good.
Oh, got him.
Oh, man,
got him.
Fantastic. That was great. That was a really good impression. Well done, Tandy. Yeah,
mate. Let's see. What else I got? What else you got, chat?
That is so good. Yeah, while I'm here, I know you'd mentioned it in our question and stuff we want to talk about. And I feel like everybody knows again because we're just a little high school, but a couple cool things going on First Mint right now is we announced today we're expanding the network of shows, so we're bringing the all night guys who are doing a great job with the all day coverage in the last year. I'm very proud of them. They all actually met in First Mint, which is really cool. And didn't really know each other that well before, but wanted to do a show about all day. And they've done like, however many Twitter spaces now and trying to get their newsletter off the ground and stuff like that. So they're part of the First Mint network. We've never added like a show like that, right? Like a show that wasn't in some way led by me or didn't cover like our core stuff. But, football's king, and I felt like we really needed a dedicated resource, and they were kind of the only ones I thought about. And really cool, eager to work with them on content and kind of growing what they're doing, and maybe eventually expand into other football things or other stuff. But they've been doing a really good job, and really keen to have them on. So that's cool. It's a fun little thing to do in the bear market too. Not little, but you know what I mean. Like grow. Like I'd really love First Mint down the road to be like a network of like niche interest shows and properties, right, of sports, and maybe eventually more. So I'm working on a couple other things in the background as well. And if you guys know anybody who's got like a niche specific show that like, or like newsletter or really anything that would fit really well in First Mint, but something we can't currently cover, like something like soccer. I'd love to have like a soccer person. I don't really care about soccer, but I know it's a huge market, and I do get questions about it pretty often. They're like, "Oh, you're following So Rare. What do you think? What's happening to La Liga? All that kind of stuff." Like, I'd love to have somebody dedicated to that. So if anybody writes about that, or is really loves that kind of stuff, like please hit me up. So that's pretty cool. There's that, and then there's also our Media Pass, right? So we launched it last month. Basically get a pass of any type that you like and come and say stuff on the First Mint, right? So that is a variety of stuff. You can buy a pass to send a tweet from First Mint. You can host a spaces from First Mint. You can co-host the podcast with us. We have like a live show Wednesday nights that has like a rotating tap of themes of like trivia and pitching projects and stuff like that. So kind of something fun and new and innovative. And I recently encouraged our holders to drop the prices on those because I thought they were pricing them a little too high. I give the media passes only to holders. So I really wanted them to kind of set the tone on what those look like. So check those out too. I'll be tweeting out the floors later so everybody knows like how much it costs to tweet from First Mint and stuff like that, which is something actually I think there's a tweet supposed to go out. I gotta check the tweeter, see if they wanted this to go out, but there should be one going out.
While you're looking, I'll play a video of LG and Boston Base's submissions to the anniversary show.
I'm an only tan because I only subscribe to the absolute best, only the best on OnlyTans.
Hey, yo! It's your boy Kanye! Not the West Man, but Eastman. Hey, yo, congratulations to Candyman. 2 years of streaming NBA content. 2 years. Hey, yo, your boy Boston Bass loves tuning in and talking more. Yo, big ups. Yo, you're going to be a champion just like your boy Kanye. For real.
There you go. I know Boston Bass was happy we played that.
You're at the top of your game rolling all these clips.
Oh, I got a lot more where that came from.
Do you make these? Do you just like the other ones, like the Rohamon and stuff like that? Do you cut that yourself?
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
Don't you remember back in the day? I used to make them for every guest too, and then I realized that was taking me like an hour before each show. I'm like, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop doing that.
Oh my god, I love that. That's cool.
But I do have. You mentioned the clip of LeBron after he broke the record. I actually have a clip of that. Let's watch it.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
All right, that was not the night he broke the record. Just to be clear, that was just
that's the Boston game. When was that? It was like a game, right?
Yeah,
like Christmas or shortly after Christmas.
I feel like it was the Christmas game. But yeah, that's when he was crying and throwing a tantrum. I had to show that to my son. This is what you don't do.
Yeah, so good. I bought some of those Top Shot packs. You want to open some? If not,
yeah, let's do it.
Oh, good. Okay, here. Let me get my thing ready. Yeah, I ended up I don't know. Sometimes, when Top Shot packs are up for sale, I'm just like, fuck you, Top Shot. I don't want any of that crap. And then other times I'm like, yeah, give it to me. I'm just like, give it to me immediately. So hold on, I just hit full screen by mistake. It's kind of like a weird here we go.
How many monitors you got going, LG?
I like 2 years ago I bought like a 49-inch monitor, so it's massive. Wow. I have this like contour thing.
Oh, no kidding.
That is actually, I thought would help me get organized, but it's actually just horrible for ADD because then you have like on your screen.
Yeah,
the same. It's pretty tough.
All right, well, here we go. Let's see if we can get a rigged pack going here. Let's get a rigged influencer pack.
Yeah, give me that number 1 KG anthology, please.
Yeah, great. I want to see that live token bot go off right now.
Okay. Do you still hover on these? It's too much.
Yeah.
Hey, little Canadian hero here.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
What are the chase odds? Do you know?
It's 3%. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
I like that you can scroll through.
I would say let's bring back
Schroeder, newest Toronto Raptor.
I hope they bring back hovering though. I thought hovering was cool.
Yeah, I thought the old pack opening process was good. They just needed different music. So now they did the music, but they changed the pack. All right.
I know 3%.
Nope. It's a good way to spend 12 Canadian dollars.
So how many moments was that?
6. Let's do the next one.
A slap at the base. Yeah, you gotta give Luke a little more time to get the influencer pack going. Wow. Yeah, chase cards. That's what Strad talked about.
Hey, look, Canadian hero. You can't do the music.
Yeah, it's loud.
What happened to all that cool like rap music they had for that one pack like a long time ago? I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
But
what about old stable? What's it called? Old Yeller.
Oh, you mean just like the original song that's like all day packs?
They should just like innovate on that one and make it something cool. There we go. Here's a 3%. All right. Well, hopefully we got some trade ticket usage for you in the near future.
Loser. Well, that was cool.
That was fun.
Yeah, old pack cracking. I haven't done a pack crack in a while. James didn't like Quavo.
Okay. Yeah, Limp Bizkit packs. Actually, Jeb. Yeah, crate collector. I think he does make music, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a good name.
Yeah. Well, any last words, LG? You did a good job promoting what you got going on.
Hey, thanks, man.
Is Canada going to win it all? Are they going to take gold?
I would Canada US would be really, really fun as the final. The unfortunate part is that like these games are like 2 a.m. for me. But if we win tomorrow, then I will stay up for the final, and I'll watch the final for sure. I'll watch it at like 2 a.m. or whatever time it's going to be for me. Yeah, I don't have any final words really. This is great. Always happy to hang out with you, man. Sorry it took so long. But yeah, always down to chat. And I was flying through these conversations. Like I was thinking, we always kind of come up with new ideas together, right? Like new paradigms and new questions to ask or new like ways to look at the product. Because I think at the end of the day, like we all do want it to grow, right? Like that's why we're still here. We do want this to like succeed. So I think it's important to keep doing what we're doing, which is both like keeping the lights on, sticking in our community here, doing some stuff that's fun. And also, let the Dappers know how we feel, right? Like people revolted over the playbook for all day, and I think that's good. It's like good, yeah. Keep being vocal because we're the community they got now, right? And it's important for them to listen to what we want. But also, I think be supportive when they do try new stuff.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I appreciate making the time. People want one more drop, so we're gonna give them the handshake, and then we'll do the outro. So let's give them the handshake.
So I appreciate it. Yeah, man, that was awkward. Fist bump. Don't clip that. Don't clip that. Just gonna clip that. It's gonna go viral. Jesus Christ. No, I appreciate it. It was weird.
Oh man, that is so good. so good, man. That is I love that.
It's top 3.
Man, that is up there. I will say it's the stream where Judge opened those legendary moments. That was insane.
I know.
That's up there. That's up there for sure in my like classic Top Shot like insanity moments of like, and you can still watch it now. Just his reaction when he gets the first one because he's so excited. He's finally getting a legendary in the blended pack, and then when he gets the next one and he's just like can't believe it, like it's just pure euphoria. And then when he gets the third one, he's like, oh, like he clicks that there's something wrong. and then he keeps going. It's like, oh well. Because then it's also like knowing it's not just being like, oh well, my luck isn't luck at all. It's actually just a massive fuck up. But also that it's like it's also now that it will change the vibe of his thing, right? It's like inevitable if something like that happens to you that it's going to change your whole thing because now you're so mad about other people always having the luck or those rig packs, and now you're the one who got it. It's just like, ooh,
yeah.
He handled it well, but man, that was nuts.
That's true. That's an element to all this. It's like such a fun social experiment, all these personalities and mixing combinations and luck and mixing people together. It's definitely part of the fun.
And what was that? What's that? Him and Jacob, where's that from?
It was the Vegas party. He hosted a party. That's when he was trying to launch that game through Super Draft. They're doing like they're doing like simulated games, and you could use your Top Shot moments. So that's where that handshake went down, and it's definitely one of my favorite clips.
Man, that is so good. Yeah, sometimes when you're not sure if you're going to be able to have a good like handshake, you just got to go for the fist bump. You know what I mean? Like situations like that. I'm like, this is not. I don't know how we're gonna do some kind of dap up, so just got to be like, just like, hey
slow.
Man, just
come in really slow,
just like this, even your dad or your grandfather will understand that shit, right? So
absolutely, yeah. He went for the European kiss. He went for the handshake. He went for everything.
European kiss.
All right. Well, I'll let you get back to it, LG. Thanks for making the time. We'll do this again soon. And so for LG and for myself, thanks for making the time as well, chat. And we will see you again next week. Take care.
Static Selector.